What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Chase, aka CR Media. Welcome to the I-70 Hot Tag, where we talk about Kansas and Missouri professional wrestling. We're going to be talking about the card for JourneyPro Headlocks for the Cure. A fantastic event they got going on. We're also going to be going over GloryPro's Massive Aggression. But first, to start off tonight, we've got a special guest for you. He's a Missouri native, former pro wrestler turned booker for our friends over at CSW. We've got Michael Strider. Also tonight, guys, find out how to win tickets to AEW Dynamite coming to Independence, Missouri. All that and much more. We'll see you in just a moment.
And now, CR Media presents the I-70 Hot Tag with your host, Chaos Chase, and the real Josh Elliott.
I'll tell you what, man. Every single time I hear that entrance video, I pop. Just a little bit. So
good stuff, man. Your narrator voice was on point for that.
It is, man. I should do that on the side.
So, there you go.
Make a little bit of a side hustle out of it.
Right.
So, again, guys, like I said, I-70 Hot Tag. This is episode 7.
Yeah.
This has been a super fun ride. We're just getting started. We've got so much planned in the coming month. But as for tonight, we've got a fantastic show planned for you. As I talked about, just to get all of the knick-knack paddywhacks out of the way. You're probably either watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. And that's fantastic. I would greatly appreciate it if you would go to your social media preference or all of them and find CR Media 1988. Give a shout out, a follow, a like, a share, all that good stuff. Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. Like I said, at CR Media 1988. My friend over here, Josh, where can everybody find you, my friend?
You can find me at the real Josh Elliott on Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. I also run all the I-70 Hot Tag social media accounts. So you can find that on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. I'm fairly active on posting videos on TikTok. So, and really all social media platforms. So give us a like. And, we also post the podcast version of this after the live stream goes off the air one day later on Fridays on all major platforms. You can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcast. So any of those, we are there.
Fantastic. So, like I said in the entrance video as well, we've got AEW Dynamite tickets for Independence, Missouri on June 8th.
Yeah.
To give away. So I am not a huge fan of waiting a very long time. I have been known to splurge early. So but we're gonna wait tonight. We're gonna wait. So
yeah. Stay tuned, guys. We'll give you details on how to win those.
Absolutely. But to start off the show, like I said, we've got a very special guest tonight. Huge fan and love what they're doing right now at CSW. Our guest is the booker for CSW and one of the co-owners. We've got Michael Strider with us tonight.
Gentlemen, how are we?
Fantastic, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Appreciate the time to join us tonight.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.
Again, Michael, cannot thank you enough. One of my favorite things about CSW and approaching you there, approaching everybody, even our guest last week, Greg Jovi, was extremely approachable when we walked up to him and said, talk to him about coming on and trying to put you guys over and find out what you guys got going on in your ventures and what we can expect. So again, cannot thank you enough.
Well, we appreciate you. Any publicity we can have to help spread the word and help the cause is very, very grateful for it. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, kind of getting into this, I always like to ask, who is Michael Strider?
So, Michael Strider is a kid that grew up in southern Missouri, a little town called Lebanon, Missouri. For me, wrestling was like baseball's family tradition. My father, rest in peace, huge wrestling fan. Me and my three brothers, there's four of us, we're big wrestling fans as well. We loved wrestling. We played wrestling. We wrestled in high school. My brother was an all-state wrestler. And then when I graduated college, at that time, I graduated in 95. So being a wrestler was like being an astronaut. Had no idea on Earth on how to do that. So found a school, started training, and I'd had the Michael Strider name, which, not to break kayfabe, it's not my real name. But I'd had that since I was like 12 years old. It was a character I developed based on Strider as a character on Lord of the Rings, which was a book before it was a movie, kids. That was a character I really thought was cool, and Michael is actually my middle name, so I came up with that. So Michael Strider is a lifelong pro wrestling fan who became what I always wanted to be. I'm one of those few people probably in life who, if you asked me when I was 8 years old, what you want to do when you grow up, I told you to be a pro wrestler. And I didn't get to do it on a full-time basis for my whole career, but I got to do it for a very long time, and I'm still involved in the business now. And, I like to talk a lot of trash, good promo guy, and I like to put on real convincing matches. I like, no one's ever accused me of throwing a work punch in my life. So
I like that.
Yeah. Speaking of that, so tell us kind of how you got into the wrestling business. What kind of started it for you?
So I was living in Lawrence, Kansas. Moved there I went to school in Joplin, Missouri at Missouri Southern. I see Chris Goff is on, the owner of Metro Pro Wrestling. What's up, Goff? Try some wine. He's delicious. Go to Peculiar Winery. It's a free plug for you, Goff.
That's right down the street from my house.
There you go. Try it. Try the Parapino. It's my favorite. I used to work there.
I have. My wife actually has a few of their bottles. So
you tell Goff that you know me, and I guarantee you're not going to get any worse. You're not going to get any worse service than you would if you didn't tell him. So you're going to be cheap bastard he is. He'll probably charge you double.
I wish I would have known you had the ends with the guys at Peculiar Winery. I invited you on here a long ass time ago.
Oh yeah, he's got a good stuff going on there. Anyway, so I was going to college, and everybody knew I was cost. That's just funny. I was a huge pro wrestling fan, obviously, and I was 96 because I made my debut in 90. No, it was 97. I had a friend who his in-laws lived in St. Joe, Missouri, and he was there visiting them one weekend, and he heard an advertisement on a radio station that there was an independent show going on in St. Joe. So he was like, "Hey, we should go up there. I know you really love wrestling." So that's great. So I called the box office, said, "Hey, how can I get involved in this?" And they said, "I don't know, but the promoter, the promoter's number is here. Call the promoter." Call the promoter. He also is miraculously at a wrestling school. So I was like, "Well, how can I get involved? I want to come train." Blah 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 blah. Guy was a shyster. Anybody that's been around for a while knows that the guy he's an old Kizarny guy. He pretended to be one of the original assassins, like Jody Hamilton. The original assassins. He claimed to be the assassins that were down in Memphis when Andy Kaufman and Jerry Lawler were running their angle and all this stuff. And I'm like, "That's fantastic! You're one of the assassins. This is going to be great." So I go up there for my tryout, and it's not really a wrestling ring. It's like a makeshift patio with sagging ropes that was in the back of, this is a shoot snake shop. So it was a pet store, but it was only snakes. So there's giant snakes all around in there, and the ring was in the back. And I got in there, and not one person knew what the hell they were doing. But to me, I did not care, because by God, I'm in the wrestling business, and I'll figure the rest of it out. My whole life has been just like, I'm going to do it, and I'll figure the rest of it out afterwards.
Yep.
So started with that, and so I started training in like September. And if I had half a brain back then, I could have had red flags, because I started in September, and the guy had me have my first match in November, and that was in the booming metropolitan area of Troy, Kansas. Troy, Kansas is where Michael Strider debuted. And there was a total of 17 people there, because I counted them from the yard. And I had my first match there, and then I had 3 more. And then St. Joe, Missouri has always been a great place for pro wrestling. Fantastic place. My roots are in St. Joe, and for better things than this. And then we were wrestling a show in St. Joe, and he put me in there with another guy who had no business being in there. I mean, we hadn't even learned how to take flat backs yet, flat back bumps. And there was a guy named Brimstone who came in and kind of showed us how to do that. So I ended up tearing my ACL on like my 4th match, and I was out for 6 months. I mean, that was 97, so it was a little longer. And, my mom, the girl I was dating at the time, were like, you're done. You're not doing this. This is a sign, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, nope, rehab. And the good thing about it is, while I was always a tall guy, but I was always a tall, sort of skinny guy, right? So when my knee was rehabbing, I lifted weights for 6 months, and I power lifted, and I ate a lot of food, and I started to get in shape. And in the meantime, I found out that there's a legit promotion run by a guy named Steve Ward, who his name might get lost to history, but Steve Ward is as responsible for me being here today as anybody else. Genius promoter. And he was running St. Joe at in St. Joe, and he was calling it Central States Wrestling. Steve was so smart. So I left the Carney guy. I don't like to say his name. I don't want to give him any kind of cred. But I'll let Jeremy White tell you the story of him when you interview him, because he fell into the same trap I did. So Steve was really smart. So he would go to, and at the time, that's Attitude Era is at its peak, right? 97. Austin's blowing up. NWO is blowing up. So he would go to these county, like there were these conventions that they would do for county fairs. So you would go there and you'd set up a booth. You'd have like your monster pool guy, your bands, all that stuff. So all of these county commissioners would come and they would bid on talent for their county fairs. We have them all over the country. No matter what county you're in, you have a county fair. Your tractor pool, your band, your musicians, all that entertainment. So he said, I can do pro wrestling at your county fair. And he'd give you 2 prices. Number one, you'd be like, I bring the ring, I bring the talent. If you want like a Hacksaw Jim Duggan, a Jake the Snake Roberts, Bushwhackers, the Samoans, it's this price. If you want just no name indie guys, it's this price. And wrestling was hot at the time. So here I am, not a year into the business, minus the 6 months I was out. I'm wrestling 4 days a week in Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, through Missouri and stuff. I'm on shows and Steve was a hustler. I mean, in a good way. So he got good value. I'm making $100 a show for a kid who's been in there a year. And I'm on the shows with like the Bushwhackers. I'm wrestling the Samoans. I'm with Jake the Snake, the Iron Sheik, just the name Road Warrior Hawk. If you ever seen that movie Beyond the Mat that came out about that time, Jake the Snake was on that. That was that circuit I was on, that Jake the Snake was on, that, because that was in Kansas and Midwest and stuff. That was Steve and another guy that was named, what was the other promoter's name that was helping him out? Subby. So I got a lot of really good work and a lot of good experience right there. And that was my first, entrance to Butch Reed, all those guys. And then just started from there. And it was good because I got a lot of work, but it was bad because it didn't give me that discipline to kind of get on the road to other places and see other things because I was so busy here.
Understandable.
Long-winded answer. Yeah.
No, I love long-winded answers.
For sure.
I have to, so Chris Goff, he stole my question, one of them, but we like to get the viewers involved. So I'll put Chris over here. I'll let him go over. He said, "What was your favorite match in Metro Pro, and why was it you versus Wyatt?"
Well, I mean, I think I wrestled Wyatt. I mean, me and Jeremy Wyatt, our careers go side by side for a long time. I mean, besides being one of my buddies, probably top 3, if not number 1 favorite opponent, and the hardest working man. I mean, it's that you'll ever meet. Just amazing human being, pro wrestler through and through. That match when I had retired 10 years ago. In 2 weeks is when I had officially had my retirement match against Adam Pearce. But then we ran the angle where I was like the commissioner and I was trying to screw Wyatt. I turned heel. I'd been babyface, a pretty successful babyface for Metro Pro. But then I turned heel and was feuding with Wyatt, throwing other guys at him. And it wasn't necessarily supposed to be me as the blow-off. It was supposed to be Wyatt and Mark Sterling. But the curse and the blessing is I'm a ton better a worker than Mark Sterling could ever think to be. So he started turning on to me and Wyatt. So Goff called me one day and was like, "You're going to have to wrestle." I'm like, "Dude, I'm fat and old. I can't wrestle. Jesus Christ, I retired." He's like, "You got to wrestle, man." I mean, that's the natural progression of the angle. So put my fat ass back in the gym, and me and Wyatt started working out at a local wrestling school here that was over in Lenexa that Derek McQuinn owned. And we had a bloodbath, just one of the best blow-offs you could ever have. I got concussed. And I'll have to send you guys some pictures because I have a very wonderful watch. So it's an amazing match. People went crazy for it. I took a massive ass whipping. And did what needed to be done. So I get to the back and I'm concussed and I'm just bleeding buckets. And my wife, my nice timid wife, comes to the back. I'm like, "Oh, thank God, my wife's here." I get a little comfort. She's nice and timid, but she's also Puerto Rican. So you get that old Puerto Rican blood boiling, and we just had our son, and she gets back there and she starts cutting world-class promos on me. "How the hell can you do this? We have a son now. You almost died." Goff comes over. She starts cutting a promo on Goff. The medics are back there trying to fix me up. She cuts a promo on them, takes all the bandages and starts fixing me up herself. And everybody's just like, "Ooh, stand back." It was a great angle and a great time in Kansas City history. I think the funny thing is NWL purchased Metro Pro right after that. So that video has never been seen by anybody. Rumor has it that's in the vaults of the Peculiar Winery, and maybe someday when he's not making wine, Goff can edit that and maybe put that out to the public to see. I know here at Central States, we're going to put out the barbed wire match that me and Wyatt did right before we went out of business. Every time me and Wyatt had a big bloodbath, territory closed.
All right, well then you and Wyatt can't wrestle no more. So,
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what, for to help us both out, what I can do is I'm like a 30-minute walk from the winery. So I'll go and I'll drink all the wine until I find that footage of that match. So, and I can.
I know Joe is working on editing the barbed wire match, so we might have that out soon. He put out a little Easter egg there on Twitter a couple weeks ago, where I think Wyatt actually got his. Oh, there he is. I think that might be the famous nipple slice there. And that was that was a little nuts.
little nuts. So, Michael, I will ask you. You were trained by Dory Funk Jr. Is that correct?
Yeah, so sort of a finishing school with Dory, right? It's so I trained at the Central States up there in St. Joe with a bunch of other guys. Like, I don't know if you remember midget wrestlers, Little Tokyo, Lord Littlebrook. They were up there, so they would come in and help. Guys like Brimstone would come in and help. Just a lot of guys to be around to help out. But then Dory Funk started running these training camps down in Ocala, Florida, just outside of Orlando, and they were really good if you knew if you had your fundamentals down. You knew how to bump, you knew all, you kind of knew how the wrestling, but you needed something to tie it together. They were like 2-week courses that you would go down there, and it was just a week or 2 weeks of wrestling. Period. That's it. And it was Dory would be down there. Johnny Ace came to a couple camps. Who was the guy from WCW? They'd come and check you out. But I trained down there with him to kind of get finished up. And I met a lot of good guys. I met Delirious down there, who ended up being the booker ROH. Court Bauer, who runs MLW major, or what's his gimmick? His name, he's got courts out there, and I think he's down in Florida and stuff. And then there's met him, Gene Snitsky. Remember him? It's Not My Fault. The big guy. He was down there. Great guy. Got to meet a lot of good guys and got a lot of really good experience. And then just kind of
punted the baby, right?
What's that? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Gene Snitsky, giant human being,
huge.
Giant. Good guy though, man. Really nice.
So, you won the at one point in time you were the NWA Central States Champion. Can you tell us what that title reign was like, and kind of what that meant to you?
Yeah, so what was interesting about that was I was hot in Kansas City and I was hot in St. Louis. But they put the title belt on me in Davenport, Iowa, which I was not hot in. And it was, so, I mean, why not? I don't know. Ed Schumann was an old booker for the who had control of the NWA at the time, of the Central States, and loved Ed. Ed was great, but I don't, whoever had me win the title in town, which didn't have much affiliation with me. There wasn't a lot of people there. It was the goddamn dumbest tournament I've ever been in my life. There was two twins that ran that promotion, and they were really good guys. Just the concept of this match was the shits, or the show was the shits. It was like a tournament, so it's like fucking Vince Russo booked it, right? So you got like 50 guys in this thing, and they're all divided into a tag team. So your tag team had to win to advance to the next round. And then you had to win another match to advance to the next round. And then if your tag team made it through all those, then the tag team got dissolved. And at the end of the night, you had like not really a battle royal, but it's like a free-for-all brawl to see who won the thing. And like an 8-hour damn show. And I'm sitting there, and I make it to the finals. And first of all, like Derek Stone, who's a real famous name around the Central States area, was about to kill, at the time, Tyler Black, who is now Seth Rollins in the WWF. We had to pull Derek aside because Tyler was young and cocky, a little bit disrespectful at the time, and Derek was going to kick shit out. So we had to pull him away from that. And then so I wrestled like 4 matches in front of like 50 people. 10 of them knew me, and then won the whole big schnoz at the end. And, it was a little lackluster when we could have put that in Kansas City where I was hot and built a little story around it and made it a little more impactful, I think, in front of people that were actually emotionally involved in my chase for the Central States title. It was an honor to win. I mean, you go to Wikipedia and you look at Central States champions, you're going to see Race, you're going to see Brody, you're going to see Flair, you're going to see Strider. So, that's cool.
Pretty cool.
I was looking at it just last week, kind of because you hear people, NWA back then, they had all those different championships for territories, and then you look at that championship, and I was like, I wonder who all held the Central States Championship, and that's a lot of fantastic names to have your name with, Mr. Strider. So I do want to comment that not only were you the Central States champion, but you held that fucking title for 1,059 days.
Brother, they had to pry it out of my cold dead hands before they were going to get that off me.
Well, there's a gigantic asshole who is running professional wrestling right now that is at a 632-day reign. I don't know, man. I think Strider's Central States title run was a little bit better than Roman Reigns' Universal title run. So,
yeah, he's a millionaire, and I'm sitting here in Olathe.
There's a couple millionaires in Olathe. So we got a question from the chat from Brian. Whose idea was it, and how did the foundation form in NWL?
Oh, that's a good question. So it's as with anything in wrestling, it's sort of a conglomerate. It's collaboration, right? So I think I'll take credit for coming up with the name, the foundation. I think I had some of the things I had pitched out was the foundation. We'd called it, I think, Heritage was another one I had thought of. Just something like, 3 old school tough guys who were going to, be the foundation of wrestling in Kansas City. So me and Ace and Wyatt were a perfect fit for it. And then you can collaborate, Goff, Based Major, Matt Jackson, Wyatt, Ace and me and Lucy, just all, threw things at the wall and picked the best things out that happened. And it was awesome. It was one of the most fun times I had in my whole career was the foundation in NWL. It was fun teaming with Ace, and Wyatt was carrying the top of the card with those great matches, and it was fantastic, man. But I think I will take credit for the name, the foundation. Nice. Or either that, or we can just say John Gresham invented it and be done with
it. So have to ask, and no pressure, do you have a favorite match personally in all of your career?
I don't have one favorite, but there are things that stick out. I mean, it's funny when you've wrestled as long as I have. And I'm sure guys who are in much higher places than me have this more problem. But people will come up to you and talk about matches that you can't even remember having sometimes, You're like, oh, dang, yeah, okay. I remember that. Like, there was a guy, a real super fan who died a couple years ago. His name was Retro Rick. Great dude. I don't know if you ever guys got to meet him. He went to old Central State shows, all of the Metro shows, and all the NWL shows. Just a great guy. He was always a guy that would beat the little drum if you guys were ever at those shows.
Okay, I do remember. I remember. I don't think I ever got the opportunity to meet him, but I do remember.
Fantastic human being, real good guy. But I'd always tease him. I was like, because he talking about matches. I was like, well, Rick, you've been to more of my matches than I have. I can't remember, all this stuff. But anyway, so some of my favorite matches, I think the match with me and Ace against the besties in the world for the NWL, the street fight, that was a good piece of business. We had a real good old-fashioned brawl. Obviously, me and Wyatt for the big blow-off in Metro Pro. Adam Pierce. My matches against Adam Pierce are legendary in Central States. Or, I'm sorry, in Metro Pro. I loved wrestling Dingo out of St. Louis anywhere. He's probably if he's not my favorite opponent, he's top 3. It'd probably be him, Wyatt, and oh yeah, there's me and Adam Pearce in a brawl, chopping the shit out of that chest, baby.
Yeah. I got to bring this up because our friend Dallas Cade completely shit on me about it. It was our first interview with somebody, but I told Dallas that I've always wanted to take a chop. And
God, I love guys like you, man. I love it.
He said the opposite. He's like, you're a moron. He's like, Moonshine does that to me all the time. You know, he's like those dorks that come up to Moonshine at wrestling shows, like, can you chop me?
Next time you're at a CSW show, our cameraman, his name is Josh. Ask him about the time he wanted to take a chop from me, a back chop, because I was always famous for those back chops, right?
Yeah.
And he wanted, we were in Joplin for a show, Joplin, Missouri. He wanted to take a back chop. And there's a perfect handprint. I got big old mitts. And there's a perfect handprint of my back just in red welts. And he cried like a little bit. Like, oh, it was hilarious.
Well, you know, for anybody watching, I don't, you know, this is on Strider's Twitter. This is his cover photo. That is, I mean, that's stupid, Strider. I mean, it doesn't even look like you're hitting his skin. It looks like he's wearing a suit, and you are pushing through it. I mean, look at the waves.
Let me tell you something about Adam Pearce, man. Adam Pearce is in a real big position in the world of wrestling now. He's a mover and a shaker. But no finer human being will you ever find than Adam Pearce. And you know, nobody ever say a bad word about Adam Pearce in front of me. Fantastic guy. First time we met, first Metro Pro show. It was at Memorial Hall. And it was something happened where we got started really, really late, and that motherfucker was overbooked, you know, for I don't know what it was. So I started off the night, and I was working a 6-man tag against it was me, Tommy Dreamer, and Trevor Murdoch against Steve Fender, and you know, the Baldies guy, Angel, a real cool guy. He's in Wichita, I think. Last time I heard from him, and Domino Rivera. So I hit the color in that. We do a whole big angle, blah 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 blah. So at the end of the night, I'm supposed to wrestle Adam Pearce. So a lot of busy stuff going on. I never met Adam before that day. Whole thing's big long night. People are tired. We talk about 5 minutes before it's supposed to go out. He's like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, well, I already got the color from that first thing. Just open me up. Be a heel. I'll be a baby face. Here's the finish. That was it. We went out there, tore the joint down. Had a great match. Just had natural chemistry. There's guys you have natural chemistry with and guys you don't. I had natural chemistry with Adam. Same with Wyatt, with Dingo. There's a little known guy. His name was Payday Patterson in the old Central States thing. Him and me did a best of 7 series. If you ever looked that up, I think there's like there was a promo video of the best of 7 where we just pretty much kicked the living dog piss out of each other for like 7 series. And he's a lot smaller guy than I am. And we built that old Central States wrestling off of those matches. It was great. So those are long-winded again. I'm sorry, but those are, you know, a series of matches. Dingo, Payday, Wyatt, the stuff with me and Ace for the foundation was a blast. You know, and then you know, good stuff.
So we're gonna kind of transition a little bit, focusing on kind of the current stuff, the DWF, CSW. You know, I kind of wanted to ask. You know, we did some research, and I used a website called Cage Match. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's an internet wrestling database. So the old CSW, on that website, it said that the one of the owners, I think it was a co-owner, his name was Joe McDonald.
Mhm.
and the current, co-owner is Joseph McDonald. Is that safe to say that's the same
Same guy. Same guy.
Yeah. So what's your
Joe
yeah, I was gonna say, what's your relationship with Joe, and then what kind of made your decision to kind of go to DWF CSW?
Yeah, so I've known Joe since he would go to those snake shops. I met him. He would come in, and he was a guy who half-assed to do what he was doing when he came in there. At least he knew what the wrestling business was sort of about. So him and a guy, he was a cool manager named Steve Gerthy. We're doing stuff, and that's when I first met Joe. And he wanted to be a wrestler, but I don't know if that was his forte. I think he's great. He does all the hype videos, all that back end stuff. And then about 2002 or 3, I want to say, they kind of took over Central States Wrestling from Steve Ward, who was the original guy, him and another partner at the time. That partner fell out, and it was just Joe that was running it. He did a good job, man. I mean, he hustled his ass off, and we ran primarily in Lawrence, Kansas, and he developed a relationship with TNA at the time. So we got to bring guys like Abyss, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe. We'd bring guys in like Matt Seidel, Delirious. Just, we were cooking, man. I mean, we were cooking. He did a really good job. It just, some things just naturally run their course. And it was just, he had wife and a couple kids, and guys were getting ready to move on to different things. So it just naturally kind of folded up. And then I can kind of transition to how we picked it back up if you want to go with that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So DWF started. There's 2 really cool guys who own Champion or Classic Tattoos, Simon Carnes and Trinity Talent. Simon's the owner. Trinity's one of the tattoo guys, and huge wrestling fans, huge supporters. And I was down there getting a tattoo one day, and they were picking my brain and asking me questions. And they were like, "What if? How about we buy you a beer after you're done getting a tattoo?" And anybody knows me is I'm not going to turn down a free beer.
My man.
Yeah.
My man.
I was like, yeah, absolutely, man. Let's go. And so they're like, well, we're thinking about running a show. It was toward, pandemic was starting to, wane a little bit. You had that Omicron variant come on, but they were huge fans and wanted to do something. So I said, yeah, I can help you guys out. And I said it was easy, and I didn't, but that's not necessarily true. It's easier for somebody like me who's been doing it for so long and has sort of the connections and know-how. So I was like, let's, I can get you the good talent if you want it, because they wanted to do a tournament for the title. I get you really good talent. I can get you hooked up with the guys you need to get hooked up with. I knew Joe had not been in the business for a while, but probably still had ambitions to continue being in the business. And so I said, let's get Joe in here. He can do all our social media. He can do all the hype videos. He'll probably do it cheaper because he's a friend of mine and he loves wrestling. So Joe had just come on at the time just to help with the social media and all the video production and stuff. And Simon and Trinity were sort of running it. Did the first show. Some mistakes were made on the first show. Not really, like they brought in Jimmy Hart, which was really cool, but probably a little over budget. The venue that we're at now, great venue, it's expensive. So wanted to kind of take on a partner. And so Joe jumped in and became, wanted to help out. And he got some, he bought into the company, put his money where his mouth is. And then Simon, who was one of the other main owners, he has that tattoo business, and Saturdays are a very busy day for the tattoo world. So he just like, I want to bow out. I'm just, I'm gonna give you guys all the support, give you all the love. And then me and Joe took it over and been running it. Trinity's still involved in it. And reason we changed it from DWF to Central States Wrestling, because to me, Kansas City wrestling is Central States Wrestling. It's race. Bulldog. It's Rufus, Brody. That's who it is. And I wanted to honor that heritage. That's what we are. We're a wrestling company. We are, a Kansas City wrestling company, Central States Wrestling. That's what we are. We're not agenda driven, other than we want to be the movies, right? We want you to come. The world is what it is. It's stressful. There's all kinds of shit, right? I'm not going to beat you over the head with current issues or trying to preach at you. I want you to come in, enjoy your 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and forget about the shit from the world. Cheer, boo, enjoy your life as in pro wrestling, and then go back and have to deal with all that, right? We're an escape. We're entertainment. We're the movies. Come in.
Love that.
Bring your kids, because, man, hook them while they're young. That's how they got me. That's how they got you, Chase, talking earlier. Hook them while they're young, baby. Yeah. There's no better crowd to wrestle in front of other than little kids.
Yep.
It's awesome. And that's the philosophy we have. Me and Joe are similar in that, and so is Trinity. So are our sponsors. We've got some amazing sponsors that allow us to bring in the talent. Dak Draper ain't cheap. Moonshine Mantel ain't cheap. But I'm not going to put half-ass guys in my wrestling card. This isn't a place where you come and you learn how to wrestle. I got A-listers. I got Matt Fitchett. I got Derek Neal. I got guys who are going to come in and are going to be the creme of the creme. And those guys aren't cheap. So we've got some great sponsors that help us out and allow us to entertain the pro wrestling fan. That's it. We that's our goal. We want to be in a place where people could come and tune out the outside world and just have a good time. Have fun.
I love it. You kind of eliminated my next question, but I love that you brought up the sponsors. When Josh and I brought a friend who is not a professional wrestling fan at all. We brought him to No Turning Back. And we actually sat right next to Warrior. The
Warrior Academy, yeah,
Warrior Academy, and they were nice. They were nice people. Like my question was, whose idea was it to transition from DWF into CSW? I think you answered that. Why don't you take a minute to let us know about the sponsors for CSW?
Well, here's the main thing about sponsoring pro wrestling, but more, I don't want anybody to, if you're wanting to sponsor pro wrestling, sponsor my company, not the others. But here's the thing about pro wrestling fans. And this is the same thing I told everybody in the with NWL, because and a lot of this, Trinity gets the credit for, because that guy busts his ass and gets talent. Chase, we lost you.
I think I'm still here.
You were screaming black there.
Yeah. I'll change my camera real quick.
Okay. Hey, also there's one other guy I forgot to mention in like the history of everything like that. It's a guy named Martin Thomas, who was he was a referee for a long time, helped a lot of referees out, but he was also a partner with Joe McDonald in the CSW when we started that over. Smart businessman, hustler, guy that gets a lot of stuff done. I would be disrespectful for not mentioning Martin. A friend who helped me out when I was in a tough spot, and always believed in me, and was a real good, he was side by side with Joe on that first run of Central States Wrestling. But sponsors, pro wrestling fans love companies who support pro wrestling, right? So it's a good market. So if you own a business and you want to, the pro wrestling fan population has decreased, right? There's not as many fans of pro wrestling as there was when Steve Austin was, from the Attitude Era and stuff like that. But they're more loyal. They're more intense. They're more willing to spend money on a product that they believe in and enjoy. So, if you see, Warrior Academy, it's good business. Faraz is an amazing guy who loves pro wrestling too. But it's smart business because people are going to say, man, this guy supports Central States Wrestling. I'm going to give him my business. If you're a bar, up, down, Ben has sponsored Dave over there, has been in business with me since he was the first guy I signed with NWL. Dave was ready to go for up, down. That's smart business for him, right? The pro wrestling fans love businesses that help pro wrestling come to their town. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then the law firm we have is just his name's Matt, and he's just an amazing dude, man. Matt was a college kid who would go to the old Central States Wrestling shows in Lawrence. And he was just a college kid at the time. And him and me got to be really good friends because he was friends with the guy who I was training. And we hit it off, man. And we just started hanging out and stuff. And so when we started this up, he was in a position with his law firm to help out and sponsor. He really wanted to do it from our lifelong sponsorship, from our lifelong friendship, but also it's smart business. If he does traffic law and criminal law and stuff like that. So now you have a name in your brain. If you get a DUI, if you get a traffic accident, or God forbid any other problem, you've got somebody on your side right now that you can call and get that taken care of. Who's going to be he's going to be on your side because you're going to say, hey, I saw you at Central States Wrestling.
Absolutely.
He gets 2 of those a year. It covers his whole nut on the sponsorship. So,
yep.
Yeah. But that's really what it is. And I advocate this enough. If you want us to stay in that cool building, you want us to keep bringing in talent, and we've got some talent coming up. Visit our sponsors and support them. It's vital. It's a lifeline.
Absolutely.
Speaking of talent, when you got a locker room full of guys like Jeremy Wyatt, Mike Outlaw, Grindhouse, the Howlets, you got such a huge roster, great athletes. They put on great matches. Do you have a specific formula or ideology of when you're booking a CSW show? Like, is there some sort of formula you go through when you're booking a show?
Josh, great question. And I think yes, and I feel very strongly about this formula, and I think it's a trap that promotions can fall into if they don't follow this formula. We don't have television. We're not booking episodic TV. So a lot of people, when they start this, they think, oh, I'm going to be a writer, and I'm going to do, I'm going to blah, 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 do all this stuff. Your job as a successful booker is to put talented people in positions to tell great stories. That's what you need to do. We run 10 shows a year. You don't have to get super in depth. Really work on that show, like the Derek Neal Moonshine blow off, right? That was a really good kind of 3-part story where you let those guys get in there and then they blew it off, beating the shit out of each other with that strap. Or the Howlets against the Premier. That was a tricky one because we did a double turn in that match. Double turns are hard to do, but the Howlets are incredibly, incredibly talented guys. And I get a little defensive about my guys. I got my guys. There's some guys that are my guys, right? Hoodie's one of my guys. Anaya's one of my guys. Dak Draper, Moonshine Mento. Those are my guys. So I get real protective of those guys.
Good.
There's some guys that I'm forgetting. Matt Fitchett, Davey Vega. Those are my guys. Those are guys that I've known some of those kids since they were just fans. So I get real protective of them, and I get really proud about how great they are now. I mean, those guys are fucking fantastic. Worlds above what I could be. Mike Outlaw, another one, just my guy. So it's important to just don't overcomplicate it, right? You're not writing Raw, where you got 3 hours of television once a week. Get some really good, solid storylines that aren't going to insult people's intelligence, and put very talented wrestlers in positions to tell really cool stories. Simple. That's my philosophy on this. Now, you got television because, Metro had television, NWA had television. That's a different story. That's more complicated, more nuanced. Yeah. But I was never the main booker on that. That was always Goff and then Matt Jackson. Those guys kind of worked all that out. But I had input.
Gotcha. I will ask. I know we're focusing a lot on CSW. I wanted to back up. I mean, this kind of does pertain to CSW. I know you do a lot of the booking. Are you the only booker for
Yes,
CSW? Okay,
yes.
so
You got one guy at top. That's it. I'm not gonna. I'll take input. Joe inputs. Trinity gives input. The talent gives input. I run everything through Wyatt. He's kind of my, I'm like, what's this structure looking like? What do you think
yeah,
about this? So he kind of helps out. I don't, he's just kind of, I've known him. God, I don't know how long I've known Wyatt, but
yeah,
real close to him, and I trust his opinion. So I run through him, but it all stops and ends with me.
yeah.
As
No,
far as
I think in any business, Michael, I think you have to be number one adaptable and number two teachable.
yeah,
And you're never, you know, uh, you as the booker, all the way down to the guys helping put up the ring that are aspiring to be wrestlers. They're never going to have all the knowledge in the world. So you have to be adaptable. You have to be teachable.
yeah, like,
So
and you
that's
have to be open. You have to be open to conglomerate, the collaborations too, right? I love
absolutely.
ideas. I love somebody to say, "Hear me out. What about this?"
Yep.
Hey, I'll listen to ideas all day long. I love it. I don't know all the answers. You might throw me something that I don't think that I never would have thought of. You know, so I love when guys come and pitch me shit, man. I love it. I love when they get involved in their angles. Like the double turn, as I talked about earlier with the
Yep.
Halletts and the premiere and stuff. A double turn is hard to do. You're talking Bret Hart, Steve Austin, Royal, from was that WrestleMania 13?
Yep. Yeah.
Hard
The
to do.
iconic match.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
It's not on that level, but at the same time, the Halletts were the big heels, and the
Yeah.
premiere was the big baby faces. But you listen to the people; they were cheering the Halletts. The Halletts
Oh,
were ready. They were ready to do that turn. So you
they
had
were.
to build it to have that double turn. So I called Ace and was like, "Hey, what do you think about a double turn?" He's like, and he started, Ace is a savant. He's like, this is, from Memphis in 1976, Jerry Lawler did blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, well, so I started looking this up. And then what you do is you give it to the talent and you say, guys, this is what we got to do. Start working on stuff, start brainstorming, start thinking. And then some of the real cool moments in that angle of that match is like when Hoodie was handcuffed and he's fucking bleeding, and then the Premier, who are the baby faces, are going to just curb stomp his buddy right there, right in front of him. That's a heel turn. And Hoodie's like got that emotional, trying to break out and stuff like that. And he came up with that. They came up with that, man. That wasn't me. That was them. And so when they shit canned Nia, man, and they turned full heel. It was a big moment. And then when Hoodie, they had their backs to him, and then Hoodie broke that handcuff and bowed up, and the people came with him, man.
Yep.
I got goosebumps. Because I was so proud of those guys for pulling that off, man, and they deserve all the credit for that.
We did too, and Josh and I have been friends for a very long time. Like I said, we have been to a couple NWL events together. I am a huge Hallett's fan, and it was long overdue for them to turn because they're hot.
They are.
And I wanted JourneyPro. We talk we joke on here a lot how like some wrestlers are heels in St. Louis, some are baby faces here in Kansas City, and I want JourneyPro to take some notes. I'm ready for the Howlets to be to turn face in JourneyPro as well. So,
they're on fire.
Well, hey, speaking of that Howlets match, we spoke about, we brought one of our buddies to the event who was not a wrestling fan, didn't grow up watching it, didn't really know what he was getting into when we got there. But when that night was over, that moment was over after the Howlets match, he looked at both of us and said, dude, if the next time you come to one of these, you better invite me, because this was an absolute blast. So
yeah,
perfect. That's awesome. That's great.
He didn't come to Strapped with us, and he was quite pissed. So
yeah, that was a good show.
Yeah.
What's funny is about that no turning back, man. That would, when I had to come out and cut the promo beforehand, that was like Wyatt had a family emergency. He had to leave right when doors were opening, and then Gil
Yeah.
Rogers slipped on some water and tore his quad. I'm like, how the hell are we going to do this? I lost my two of my biggest baby, my baby face and my big champion heel.
Right.
And it turned out to be a great match.
All right, so I have to air a grievance with you, Michael. Not with you,
Sure.
but with Gil. I'm not very fucking happy that Gil suspended Hoodie.
Well, I mean, you got to, right? You can't touch an official. That's
Yeah.
just the rules. You if you're in the NFL and you push a referee, man, what's going to happen? You can't get suspended, right? You can't do that.
Yeah, but I think we all can collectively agree that if Hoodie would have finished the job with Roscoe Leach, I don't think a whole lot of us would have been upset.
Nah, yeah, neither. So that I would not, I gave Gil the permission. He's the assistant to the regional booker there, so I gave him the right, so I don't have to do that. And he saw fit to suspend him, and I'll back him on that. He's got, it's one show. Hoodie will be back. He'll be fine.
All right. Well, we'll deal with it. So, so I wanted to ask about you being a big fan of hardcore matches. Yeah. Would I be correct?
Yes.
Okay. I watching the match between the Howlets and the Premier put together, and then also your history. And the nipple thing with Jeremy Wyatt, I was watching. In fact, I've actually got, and we can thank Joe for this. Joe actually linked it in the chat.
Nice job, Joe. It's good. He's gonna have the whole match out there, man. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. And what's great about it is he actually posted it on he posted the clip on CSW's Twitter.
Yeah, right.
So
I think he's remastering it.
Who does your videos and stuff?
Joe.
Joe? He does a fantastic job.
Yeah, so his nipple was gone right there.
So that explains a lot.
He'll show you the scar.
Yeah. I would be a constant asshole too all the time if somebody ripped my nipple off. So,
hey man, here's the thing about hardcore wrestling though, guys. I like you have to build toward it, right? Like going like, hey, let's go through a table and blah 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 and beat all this stuff up and all that. Let it progress to a blow off.
Yeah.
Let it progress to a grudge or blood match and stuff like. It's like if you watch Central States Wrestling and DWF and stuff like that, we don't do a lot of dives. We don't do a lot of the stuff like that, or big bumps or hardcore shit like that. We build toward that. That's funny, Joe. We build toward giving, build toward the spots. If you can do, like a pivotal moment for me was like Foley jumping off, getting thrown off that cage and those bumps from that Hell in the Cell, right? That was crazy. But now everybody after that wanted to do it just on normal matches and stuff. It's like strong style, like, and I fell in this too because I love that All Japan, Kobashi, Misawa strong style and all those big bumps. So everybody on the indies was doing these head drops, all this shit. The problem is those guys were doing it in the Tokyo Dome in front of 40,000 people, once a year and stuff. So I love high spots and I love hardcore, blood and guts, blow-offs and stuff like that. The journey to get there is what makes it better. Doing it just to do it, you will not get the same effect. You will not. You have to build to that stuff. It's very important. You have to build toward it. You will remember that hardcore match. You will remember that match with the Hallets in the premiere forever because we built to that match. If they started off doing that, and their story's not done yet, by the way. I mean, you got more stuff coming up. You have to build toward those things.
Joe has a question. Why did you try and give my grandma a heart attack, and why did she love you so much?
So this, and every promoter who's ever had to deal with me, it's sort of I always tell them it's cost of doing business because I want to do something that's going to be, I believe in the Terry Funk school of wrestling, right? Go fucking crazy all the time. Just be, like most of my whole career has been one big Terry Funk cosplay. It's about what it is. So I'll grab, I'll jump the rail and chase a fan, or I'll take, we got kicked out of a bar in the old Central States in St. Joe because I threw one of my guys through a wall at the bar we were at, and all of a sudden we got thrown out and stuff like this. It's cost of doing business. I want to do some crazy shit. I chased Joe's grandma one time, is what he's talking about, and I was bleeding, and I was chasing her around, and she was going to call. She was literally telling Joe to call the police. And then one time in NWL, we just went to a new place, and I threw a big fancy chair into the ring, and the people were pissed, and Major was yelling at me that I was going to have to pay it. I damn near ruined Matt Jackson for Gateway Championship Wrestling's last show before he joined the NWL because I started turning over tables, and a couple of the boys, I can't remember who the guys were, got pissed because I dumped their merch table during a big brawl at the end and wanted to fight me afterwards. Like a worker was wanting to fight me in the back because I turned over their merch table, and I was just thinking, good Lord, man, I'm going to get fired from the end of the yard because these guys are mad. And I always wanted, I think it was Johnny Valentine who said, I can't make you believe pro wrestling's real, but I can make you believe that I am real. And that's something that I always believed in. Like, I always wanted, when people came to see a Michael Strider match, they're like, shit, the other shit's fake, but that motherfucker crazy. That shit was real. That guy was, blah, 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 blah. And I paid the price. I'm pretty beat up, but, it was worth it. Wouldn't change anything.
So I've talked about on these shows previously, and, one of my absolute favorite things about going to independent professional wrestling, whether it was NWL, or NWL or DWF, CSW, or Metro Pro. Anytime I go, I love getting involved. Number one, it makes it more fun for me, and it makes it more fun for the people around. There's a lot of people in the crowd that are in their shell. They don't want to get out, so they don't like yelling stuff at the wrestlers or whatever. And Josh can attest to this because he's been to almost every single independent wrestling show I've been to. Minus a couple. I love antagonizing the wrestlers. Matt Fitchett, for example. I'm a huge Matt Fitchett fan, but when Matt Fitchett comes out, I'm the fat guy in the front row telling him how much he sucks and all this other stuff. There was one with Moonshine where there's been a couple instances with Moonshine where I've yelled at Moonshine and Jovi and Moonshine has come out to get in my face or told my fat ass to get in the ring. And the last show, Strapped, there was this kid behind me who he was so wet behind the ears he couldn't be over 17. No way. And he was vocal the whole event, and I loved it. It was it might have annoyed some people around us, but I love it because, like I said, because I'm the same way. Right. And I said something to Jovi and to Moonshine, and then Moonshine came out of the ring and goes, "Who said that?" And before I could even say anything, This kid gets out of, or he goes, I did. And then Moonshine goes, get up here and say it's my face. And this kid's 5 rows behind, or 5 rows from the front row. He steps over everybody and pushes everybody out of the way and gets right up in Moonshine's face. And Moonshine goes, wow, you really came all the way up here.
That's an interesting thought, because there's a couple things that I've noticed in independent wrestling nowadays. Like some of the boys, and when I say the boys, that includes girls too. It's the boys is a general term for wrestlers, right?
Yeah.
Some of them get a little sensitive when people catcall or bust their balls or something like that, which I don't understand. Like when I'm a heel, and if you call me anything in the book, as long as I'm getting that reaction from you, man, I'm good. Call me a fat blah blah, boom 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 boom, and I'm gonna, that's what I want. I want that energy from the crowd because I'm doing it. I'm being a heel and stuff like that. So I know, and the times change, and I'm not fooling. Yeah, I think guys get a little too sensitive, but the boys love when the crowd's involved.
Yeah.
No one wants to go out there and be, crickets. They want people to respond. They work for it. It's pro wrestling for a wrestler is crack cocaine. Yeah. Going through that curtain, being with the people is crack cocaine. You love it. You can't. That's why I've retired 3 times. Terry Funk's retired 25 times. And you always come back to it. It's just in your blood. I always used to do this thing.
We quit watching for a couple of years. I mean, it's just as fans, you'll go through times. I think it was right after Sean. Sean was always one of my favorite wrestlers growing up, and when Sean retired, I stopped watching for like 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, and then it sucks you back in, man.
Right.
You should love it.
And I always did this bit, and I used to love it because it would always put over the dad too, right? So I was a heel, and I'd go out there and I'd see a little kid, and he'd be with his dad. I'd walk, and I'd look at the kid, and I'm like, where's your dad? I'm gonna kick his butt. Where's your dad? You little smart mouth brat. I'm gonna kick your dad's butt. Where's your dad at? He points at his dad, and I'm like, oh, that's your dad? Uh-huh. Well, I can't whoop him. And I walk away real fast. So the kid pops because he's like, oh, my dad can kick this guy's butt, and so the dad, he puts the dad over to the kid, which is cool. And maybe the dad will, take the kid to more wrestling shows.
So, apologize, Josh. This question wasn't in the lineup. I tend to go off script a little bit. There is you talk about like some of the wrestlers being, maybe not as privy to it as they used to be, with fan, maybe a little bit more sensitive. There is a clip going around on social media, and I don't know how much time you spend on social media, Michael, but
as little as possible.
As little, understandable. It's a catch-22 with when you do something like this, you got to be on it, but
it is.
There is a little bit of a cesspool. So there's a clip of a fan, getting in the face of a wrestler, and the wrestler tips his hat. He's wearing a cap. The wrestler, tips his cap off, and then the guy goes nuts.
Got headbutted
and starts trying to hit the wrestler, and then the wrestler has to,
the guy headbutted the wrestler, right?
Headbutting, exactly, yeah, because he tipped his hat.
Yeah.
So I guess my question to you, obviously, like I told you, I love getting involved. It's always been a catch-22 with me. I love going to smaller events because my voice is heard. But I also want the crowd to be full and as excited as I am. So that's why I like to mouth off to the wrestlers, get chants going, stuff like that. So as that type of wrestling fan, that kind of like rubs me the wrong way. And I've always been taught you never put your hands on a wrestler.
Yeah. So I'm a generation removed from this generation, right? So the way I came up from those old school guys, and if that we would have taken that fan, tuck him in the back, beat shit out of him. That's what we'd have done. You don't touch one of the boys. Fuck you. Take
Yeah.
you to the back, beat shit out of you. That's what would have happened. That's what should happen. That's what Bill Watts would have done, by God. Go watch, listen to Bill Watts. That's essentially what I'm putting together, and that's going to get me heat with a lot of people. I'm sorry. That's just an opinion. It's not an endorsement. But I always think, that's, have fun. I mean, Wyatt does that shit all the time. MJF on his indie stuff does that all the time. Tips a hat. You see like the Wyatt pulling the chair from the person or something like that. I mean, man, he tipped your hat off. Don't headbutt that dude. And if you're going to do it, I'm going to take you out back, and me and the boys are going to kick shit out of you.
Yeah. No, I wanted to get your thought on it because
that's just my thought. That's what I would do.
No, when I very first saw that, I thought, gosh, like that, it's always when we were kids, they always talked about that one little brat that ruined it for the rest of us. Yeah. So when I see that clip, it's like, yo, man, like don't do stupid stuff like that because you're going to ruin it for the guys like me that love,
believe me, man, that I've met that guy once at an NWL show in St. Louis. I think he came up with another guy from Atlanta. I think he's from. That guy is going to be fine, and he's not going to stop getting heat with the crowd and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But Bill Watts says you get in a fight, you in the business, and you get in a fight, the business better win every day. So
yeah,
that's why I'd have taken. That was a big old boy. It wasn't like a kid. Right, no. That was a grown-ass man. So that grown-ass man, I'm going to take out back, and when we're going to put the boots to him.
Yeah. Brian had a question for you. He said, if you could come out of retirement for one final match, what young and up-and-comer in the Midwest would you want to wrestle?
Good Lord. There's so much good talent out there, boys.
Yeah.
Derek Neal. Derek Neal, he's not an up-and-comer. He's established. But, man, Derek Neal is my kind of wrestler. I like a stiff fucking fight, boys. And that's my type of guy. That's Stan Hansen. I could work that guy and just have the time of my life beating the crap out of each other there. Great human being behind the scenes too. I would love to come out and wrestle a Derek Neal. I got to wrestle Moonshine. He'd be another one I like. I got to wrestle Dak. Wrestled with Hoodie. Never wrestled Hoodie. But yeah, Derek Neal would be a guy I would love to come back and just go toe to toe with.
I like it, Brian. I appreciate you asking that question, man. That was a fantastic question.
Absolutely. So to kind of round this out, we got one question here. We're kind of wanting to see, where do you see CSW in 5 years from now, or where do you hope to see CSW?
In business.
Right.
I will make. This is my promise. It's always been. I've always had a connection with the wrestling fans because I am one. I'm you. You guys started this because you're wrestling fans. I'm the guy in the crowd. I'm a wrestler. It's important. It's important. Wrestling is to me. It's my life. It's my life's work. It's my identity. All my best friends are wrestlers. Everybody's like, well, would you let your son be a pro wrestler? I don't know. I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'd let him be a pro wrestler. There's been some, there's some sharks. I think it's a lot better now, but all my great experiences, all my friends, I have like 4, 5, like really tight friends, and they're all from pro wrestling, and then it's been great. So as long as I have blood running through me, there will be pro wrestling in Kansas City, and it will be a promotion that everybody can enjoy. It's going to be for kids. It's going to be, it's to borrow a hip term. It's all inclusive. The only thing you need to do to become to come to my show is be a wrestling fan. That's it. I don't give, just come and enjoy a wrestling fan. That I will want to be in a place for people to come and have a great time and have a great show. And then just, feature young up and coming talent, and then we got a couple of surprises. We might be throwing out there in the upcoming months and years and stuff. I got a few hookups. I got some connections now. I got some guys who know some guys who might be able to get us some guys that you might not expect us to get. So
I was going to give a shout out real quick. Dad Trainer, I appreciate you coming through, man. Appreciate you showing love. Brian has another question for you. Brian asks, have you ever seen a wrestler as over as Luigi Primo besides Gil?
No, I haven't. Trinity found him, and he was like, this guy, you got to bring him up. I think it's a great gimmick. I saw the video, and I was like, this is a Kansas City guy.
Yep.
This is a guy that the Kansas City people are going to love. And he's a great dude. And that's a shoot, man. I mean, that's like a training pizza thing that he runs. His family comes from that pizza background. They've been in the business forever. And the second show he was on, like the first show he came out and got a big pop. The second show was giant. I mean, I think we had Dak on that returning, and that was the only pop that beat him. Afterwards, I was talking. He's like, man, he was almost emotional. He's like, I'm just overwhelmed by the response I'm getting here. This is fantastic. I'm like, man, I was like, you have a fun gimmick. You have something that's just fun. People enjoy it. It makes you want to just smile, and have a good time with it and stuff, man. And that's great because to me, you have to have a three ring circus, right? Don't just be one thing. Don't be all death matches. Don't be. So I like guys like, I love Dan the Dad. I love Gil Rogers. I love Luigi. Those kind of just fun gimmick, kind of fun type stuff. As much as I love like the Howards and the Bloodbaths and all that stuff, and I like high flyers and all that. It's important to have that whole entertainment for everybody. So Luigi is an amazing dude, man, and I'm just excited for how over he is, and he's going to be a big part of our forward. So
I'm super excited. We brought our friend, who's not a professional wrestling fan, and as soon as Luigi came out, he lost it. I mean, you couldn't contain him. He was laughing so hard.
Yeah.
And he couldn't stop laughing. So, and my good friend Josh over here was able to book Luigi for a future show. So we are
fantastic.
Yeah,
that's fun, man. He's a good dude. He's a good dude, man.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, I wanted to ask you, do you have a social media you want to share out in case anybody watching wants to know where to find you? Or
shit, no, I don't know. Yeah, unless I got my Twitter and stuff, but it's all I'm on there to listen to Chief takes and about I'm in there to follow Kansas City Chiefs sporting news and wrestling stuff. Central States Wrestling, that's the social media I want you to hit. Our YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube on Central States Wrestling, because you're going to be able to get full shows on there for free
that are fantastically
shot 4K. No one else is doing 4K. We're doing 4K shooting. Our production is top level. Yep. Joe and his team with Josh and all those do a fantastic job.
Amazing job.
Yeah, that's really where you're going to get the most out of, that's where I want you to go. Subscribe to Central States on the YouTube, on Twitter, Facebook. We have a bigger presence in Facebook, I think, than Twitter, but I don't book through Twitter. But any of those, just really, really support Central States Wrestling, because if you support Central States Wrestling on those sites, you're supporting me. And you're supporting all the boys. That's what I need you guys to do. Because we can.
I agree. I appreciate Josh hooking us up with the YouTube there. Like I said, all your guys that do your graphics and your editing. I used to be a big graphics guy. I still kind of dip my toes in it a little bit. I do it for a hobby. So when I was younger, it was a huge hobby of mine. So I always like to give a special nod when I see young or independent graphic makers doing their thing. So I was extremely blown away by the production level on the graphics that you guys have at CSW. So big shout out to those guys.
Joe and those guys do a great job. They really do.
I did want to take a couple minutes just to break down this just a quick rundown of this Rise of an Outlaw card. I'm a big fan of names and of like event names, pay-per-view names. I've always been, the nostalgic type that, loves the, no turning back, no mercy, backlash, fall brawl, all that good stuff. So Rise of an Outlaw, I'd ask you, does that name have any meaning to it, Michael?
Yeah, it does.
I was hoping for a little nugget, but I understand. I appreciate it, sir.
Hey, I'll tell you, I am a huge fan of names for shows too, and I am shit at naming them. I usually have to get with other people to name them. I came up with Rise of the Outlaw. That's my name, so I like it. But I mean, you look at the main event, and I consider ourselves. It's sort of two things, the main event, Mike Outlaw, talented human being, fantastic Absolutely. Wrestler, great baby face. And also we're a little bit of outlaws, right? We're sort of a alternative to what indie wrestling is now. Central States Wrestling, if you look at other what the production is, and I'll never knock anybody's business model for putting on shows. God bless you, put it on. We're different than what a lot of indie wrestling is nowadays. We're not a presentation of, hey guys, go out and do a million different things and giant 8 dives in the opening match and this, that, and the other and stuff. Like, we're more structured and more embedded in storytelling and long-term planning. So we're in a sense, we're an outlaw to the independent wrestling scene because we're presenting a product that is uniquely not indie wrestling, right? We're not doing it the way the other guys are doing it. And I think that sets us apart. I think
long-term storytelling is really hard to do, Michael. And then what also is really hard to do is to tell a story in a match.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a beginning, a middle, and an end of a story within the match. It takes great talent to tell the story outside of the ring, but I love professional wrestling. And telling stories in the ring is what I love. So
yeah, and it's easy stuff like this too. Like, hey, your champion's finish is a pile driver. That's what he's going to win the match with. No pile drivers in the rest of the show. Yeah. It's just little stuff like that. Hey, they're going outside the ring to do a brawl. No one else go outside the ring except for a couple seconds. It's the cohesiveness of a show. Too many indie shows are just like go out and do, like you'll see the same thing in all the matches.
Yeah.
A little bit of micromanagement on that. Just talking to the guys and saying, okay, this is his finish. Don't do this. If you got Wyatt's Coronation pile drivers, the finish for the main event, and you got 8 people doing pile drivers, then you're shitting on your main event, right? Just stuff like that.
Not just your main event, but your champion.
Yeah, it's just make the whole show cohesive, and then you'll be able to tell better stories.
So for the first time ever, this is being billed as a dream match, and I would not disagree. There's Dak Draper against Davey Richards.
You guys familiar with Davey Richards? Are you familiar with his work?
Absolutely.
That is going to be worth the price of admission alone.
Yes.
I'm
very excited for that.
I've been trying to get Davey on some shows, and the schedules just haven't met. And then he said, "Hey, I'm available." I texted Dak and said, "You want to wrestle Davey Richards?" And that's what he said. Absolutely. And then I was like, "Well, people, Genius Booker Strider. That's all I needed to do. Now they'll go out and have a great match." Yeah, I'm good to go. I sit back and watch. Yeah, that's.
I was going to say, Michael, if you'd have made up some bullshit story about how you negotiated with Davey and you the stars had to align for Davey and Dak to, I would have went with it. You would have worked me, and I would have said, "Man, you're a genius."
Yeah,
what a simple text message.
He says, "Yep." He's like, "I could come in. I'm free." I'm like, "Okay." And it took me like 4 seconds to think who to put him with. And I was like, Dak. And it's going to be great. It's going to be a classic.
Absolutely.
Classic.
I'm extremely excited for that. Moonshine against Anaya. I'm a huge Hallett's fan. Got blood on me during the match from the Howlets in the premiere. I shit on Moonshine when I'm at the event, but deep down, I am a huge Moonshine fan. We talked with Greg last week, and Moonshine's got that look.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I'm talking about, the prototype.
Mm-hmm.
The look that
I'm shocked that guy's not with a bigger company. I'm shocked that he's not.
He just his presence in the ring, his entrance, his build. Moonshine just has that WWE look.
Mm-hmm.
Like like that's where he came from, and he had it. I feel like he has toned it since in the NWL days.
Yeah, he's really shined it up, hasn't he? Yeah.
So I will be rooting for the Howlets all the way, but I would not be surprised if Moonshine snuck.
That's an interesting matchup because where do they go from here, right? So Moonshine's coming off that big feud. He lost the feud in a very closely contested match. What's next for him? Naya is without his partner who's suspended. What's going to happen there? He's there alone. His backup's not going to be there. So that's going to be an interesting match to see kind of both parties in a little bit of a transition state. Let's see how they respond. I think that's interesting to me. I want to see how they do it.
There's a couple other matches I'll highlight here. I know, like I said, I know you got some things to do, and we've kept you quite a while here, Michael. But I want to ask, was that one of the loudest pops from Strapped when the Premier was in the ring with Roscoe, and then the Howlets came out?
Yeah,
that
was awesome.
I don't know how many people were in the Camelot Ballroom, but it sounded like 10,000.
Yeah.
And Josh about got ran over by Anaya.
Yeah, he shoved me out of the way. Get the hell
out. Yeah, that's good business, man. That's a good piece of business right there.
Yeah.
That was chef's kiss, my friend.
Yeah, that's good.
Because that was not how I saw it played out in my head. I thought, number one, you open the event with Grindhouse and the Howlets.
Right. You know why? Because you want to do that. I was very specific in that, because you ended the last match with the Howlets bloody mess and stuff like that. So let's start right where we ended. Just keep the story going, right?
Yep.
So boom,
absolutely.
Barn burner right out the gate right there.
Yeah.
and it was I looked at Josh and I said, dude, I'll be honest with you, we might have to go home. I don't know if another match can top that.
Yeah.
Right.
And I also bet Josh like $100. I was like, $100 says the premier. There's some fuckery in this match. The premier is probably going to cost the Howlets this match.
I'm $100 richer.
And yeah, when they went and they had that fantastic match, I was like, okay. I was like, well, I saw Campbell Soup. He's dressed, so we're gonna get the P Boys sometime tonight. So, and then when they had that match, I thought it was just gonna be over. And then when I heard the Howless music hit, that whole place came unglued.
Well, we're glad you enjoyed it, man. That's what we wanted to get done. So that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Ice Pick Vic Capri and Nino Hatchet. What is Vic new to the wrestling business?
Oh God, no. Vic's one of Ace's guys from Chicago. Vic's been around as long as I have, and he is just buzz saw Chris Benoit style badass. I don't know if you saw him wrestle. They just a buzzsaw, awesome guy. His opponent is a new guy that we're bringing down. He's coming down from Omaha, I believe. So I always want to recycle new talent. I want to get a look at the guys. I want the people to get a look at him, see who responds, see how they do and stuff like that. So Capri is a measuring stick. He is 100% badass.
Yeah. He had a really stiff hits, and he had a great look to him. Yeah. I was joking with Josh. His boots look like Justin Credibles from WWE. When Justin was with X-Pac and Albert, and when you said Chris Benoit, I have to go back and look at that because I might have to. Those might actually be Chris Benoit's boots.
Yeah, yeah. No, Capri's been around for a long time. He's good friends with Ace. Ace recommended him. He's out of Chicago, and I've known Vic for a while. Was happy to get him, have him come in and wrestle for us because he's my enforcer. He's your measuring stick. You want to make a name for yourself in Kansas City, you got to go through Vic Capri. That's just, that's what it's going to be.
I like it. Like I said, he was really stiff. If he'd have been wrestling anybody else but Mike Outlaw at No Turning Back,
those guys had a great match too. I love that match.
They did. I was, like I said, I can't say enough fantastic things about both of the events you guys have put on. Very excited for Kansas City. In Kansas City wrestling, now that you guys are getting up and going with CSW and pushing forward. So,
well, I appreciate you guys' support. I really do. Thank you.
Absolutely, Josh. You have anything else, my friend?
No, man. We're. I think that kind of wraps it up. We really appreciate you joining, Michael. It's been a blast. We support CSW. We're going to come out as many events as we can, and we're going to continue to discuss it here on the podcast. And we appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the support. If there's anything I could ever do for you guys, you let me know, and I will make sure my guys are there.
Fantastic,
appreciate it,
Michael. Right. We are going to take about 5 minutes, and then we were going to do the GloryPro and the JourneyPro. You're more than welcome to stick around, sir. If you sign off, then we will see you next time, sir.
Yep, I'm going to sign off, boys. Appreciate you. Good luck to those two promotions, and thanks for everybody else joining us and support indie wrestling, support indie podcasting, and all that good stuff, boys.
All right, Michael. I will see you on June
18th.
June 18th.
Get your tickets. Be there. Let's go. Let's cook.
Let's do it.
When you're
Absolutely.
cooking, let's cook. Let's cook.
All
boys.
right.
See you later, Mike. Thanks.
All right. Bye.
All right. Back again.
Michael Strider, ladies and gentlemen. That was
That was fucking awesome.
it was very
That
cool. Very
was
cool.
fucking awesome. I you know, I don't want to like, give a whole lot of that away, but you know, he he joined the backstage area before we went live. Called both of us by first name. Obviously, I mean, like it's on our things, but still, it's the principle of the matter. Like,
Right.
you know, just extremely personable. Um, Great guy.
Yeah.
And when he mentioned how much of a professional wrestling fan he was, that was awesome to me because um, I might catch him at the winery and and see how drunk I can get him and see if I can pick his brain and hear a bunch of stories because
Dude, yeah.
um,
You know,
I I could have talked 4 hours with him,
yeah.
5, 6.
You know,
So
something we talked about being backstage. He did, we could have asked him to, but we didn't. We chatted with him for 15, 20 minutes before we went live. He had some old school CSW posters, Central States Wrestling posters that he showed us.
yeah,
And the cards on these posters were guys like Ric Flair, Bruiser Brody. It was
a young
crazy.
Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels, yeah, very young Shawn Michaels, yeah. So, it was cool. So,
Yeah.
what's up, Raz?
Scotty, appreciate you coming in, bud. Yeah, could have done a whole series with his stories. Yeah, man, that was awesome.
For sure.
I will not take anything away from our other guests. Greg Jovi was awesome. He had a lot of great stories. Dallas had a lot of passion, had some good stories too. Dallas is really young. But that was awesome. So
Absolutely.
I cannot talk about that enough. So
Yeah.
that was fucking awesome.
Yep. So go
I guess
support.
we still got a little bit more of a show to do, don't we?
We got not a little bit, man. We got a full jam packed. Get back to our regular scheduled programming. We've got a GloryPro Massive Aggression that happened this past weekend. I watched it beginning to end. I've said this before. Being an old 35-year-old, almost 35-year-old, I really enjoy that they put their shows on Twitch. And
thank you. Sorry, Josh. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that, man.
yeah, dude, yeah.
A lot, dude. Appreciate for anybody still sticking around that is watching. Scott is from the land down under, and so he's nowhere near Kansas City, or the Central States. So for you to chime in and host, that means a lot, man. So
Absolutely.
a whole lot.
Absolutely, yeah. So, Glory Pro happened. It was on Sunday, and it started at 3 p.m. And which means the show was over at 6:30. It was an early show.
So fucking weird.
It is
Oh.
very odd. It is very odd. It felt like I was getting ready to start a WrestleMania starting that early. So I was gearing for an 8-9 hour show.
Yeah.
So, but no, it was a fantastic match. Did you get a chance to? I know you came in late. Did you get a chance to go back and watch?
Yeah, I went back and watched the whole thing. I actually watched the ladder match a couple of times because it was all over the place.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Good old Day of the Dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it was funny because Strider had mentioned St. Joe, and I've probably told a bunch of you guys, I am actually in St. Joe right now, trying to get this house all cleaned out. Not really much fixing up. The house isn't that old. It's a very nice house, but I'm trying to get it fixed or cleaned out so I can sell it. And Josh messaged me around 4:15, 4:30 ish, and made a comment, and I was like, when does it start? And he's like, he just laughed, like he just did now. He was like, he goes, it started at 3, bud. I was like, oh shit. So I dropped my yard tools and ran inside to go to go get it turned on and start watching it. And then luckily, like I said, they have the replays on there that you can watch. So I immediately played it back. I did play it back right before I went to bed, so fell asleep towards the end of it, which the part I had already seen. And then on Monday and Tuesday, kind of like, went through it again and watched a little bit more of it. So fantastic. GloryPro is, again, one of those Missouri promotions that's just, they've got great talent. You know, I, I agree with Strider. And I know Strider says it for a different reason, that those are his guys. I call them our guys because, we're so invested into this, Missouri and Midwest professional wrestling. So, guys like Camaro Jackson, Kenny Alfonso, um, you know, just to name a couple of the guys that were on the GloryPro card. I'm always like, yo, that's our guys over. Those are our guys from Kansas City, even though they're probably from St. Louis. Pretty sure. The quad father Camaro Jackson is a St. Louis native. But that's all right. He's still my guy. He's still, when I, especially, there's a lot of guys on TikTok, a lot of those wrestling creators that are, kind of doing stuff with independent wrestlers. McGruber's one of them. I think McGruber's like from Illinois. So, McGruber talks about Gary J all the time and all that other stuff. And, he's a cameraman for one of these promotions in Illinois. But even when he's talking about Gary J and Camaro Jackson and Mike Outlaw, I'm like, those are my guys. Like, yo, I'm like, that's those are my Kansas City guys. So yeah, man.
It was I love seeing, like we talk with Strider, how we like seeing the guys in JourneyPro and CSW, and then going across the state, going to GloryPro, St. Louis Anarchy, and seeing their different stories against different wrestlers. Grindhouse is one that's they are St. Louis. Them and Gary J, they at the last Anarchy show they called them part of the foundation of St. Louis wrestling. So, but still, that just seeing these guys kind of interact, interchange different promotions, it's cool to see, and all the new faces that we get to see as well. This is kind of introducing us to a whole new, plethora of wrestlers across the state of Missouri, and we've done a little bit of Kansas, but it's been awesome. And this GloryPro promotion that we discovered last month has put on two, just like CSW has put on two fantastic events.
Absolutely.
So, and I don't know if you want to kind of start rolling down the card, but they start off with a title match, the Midwest Territory Championship, which is their women's. Now, I'm assuming it's a women's title. And primarily only women. There wasn't 2 women wrestling for it. I don't know if men can wrestle for it or not, but it's called the Midwest Territory Championship. Tootie Lynn came in as the champion and actually defeated Shaza McKenzie in a pretty good opening match. Tootie Lynn, we will talk about her a little bit later. She gets into kind of a scuffle with Mike Outlaw a little bit later, but pretty good opening match. I like Shaza McKenzie. We've seen her a few times in Journey recently. So I'm hoping to see her in person eventually, either in CSW or JourneyPro coming up. But good opening match. I think it was a good decision to put that on first.
So just to kind of let you know, bud, the Midwest Territory Championship is not a women's champion. It is an intergender championship.
Okay.
They actually, and I didn't know this was GloryPro. There was a match between Tootie Lynn, Raju, Dan the Dad, and Ethan Price last year in July. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend going and watching it on YouTube. It is a very entertaining match, very good. And Tootie won that match. I was sitting there as soon as you said it, and you were like, a primary women's match. I was like, is that the same one that Tootie fought Dan the Dad in? So I looked it up real quick to see if there was some fuckery going on. And
no, you're good. We're learning as we go for sure. So
absolutely. And, like I said, I didn't pick it. I didn't pick it up when you first said it, and the fatal 4-way match after this with Raheem de la Swede. Sorry.
Yeah.
But Blair Onyx, Anakin Murphy, August Matthews. Raheem looked really good in this match. He was just wrestling in WLW about a week ago. But he hit a 450 splash to pick up that W. This was a fantastic match as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Raheem's a up and coming superstar. Eventually, he has a lot of good. He looked really well in his WLW match that I saw, and in this match too. That 450 was nice. It was a good surprise finish to me. So
it was definitely a lot better than Johnny Elite's. So
yeah. Yeah, 100%. So the next match, Hustle and Muscle come out with Raju and cut a promo basically saying that, an open challenge for the tag titles, and they are met with a team called No Role Models. So Hustle and Muscle get the win. They retain the titles. There's a spot, and I'm going to draw a blank on the wrestlers' names of these two teams, but the bigger member of No Role Models does a move off the top rope and lands directly on one of the guys from Hustle and Muscle, and literally with all 400 pounds, 350 pounds of him, and you could see the anger in his face that right when that match was over, he grabbed the title and walked completely out. Didn't celebrate, nothing. He left. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So, but Hustle Muscle retain the titles. We got two title retains here. So, in the first 3 matches,
Raju defeating Laney Luck. Super entertaining match.
Yeah.
Laney Luck looked really good in this match. It was a damn good match. I mean, not too much to talk about there. That next match though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie, Mr. Eddie Kingston from AEW comes in and faces St. Louis mainstay and eventually going to come to CSW, Davey Richards.
Dak Draper's opponent for the next CSW event that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Davey Richards.
So. I saw a clip of it's GloryPro of Kingston, who wrestled there about a year ago. He called out Davey Richards and says, "I want a match with you. That you're my next opponent." And so this match was a year buildup, and finally, culminated this past weekend. So it was kind of marinating for a year, but after the match, Kingston, I don't know if you follow Kingston on Twitter, he basically said that Davey Richards is on that short list of his that he could wrestle 365 days a year. So he had a very high praise for Davey. So match was great. It was fun. It was a good 20-25 minute match. It went pretty long, and both guys looked phenomenal and just kicked the shit out of each other for 25 minutes. So Kingston as expected, Kingston got the win over Davey. So extremely jealous of everybody in that building that got to see that match live. It was something that would have been pretty special.
Yeah. So, not to, I mean, we're going to give lots of praise. We're going to do plenty of talking about Davey Richards, in the coming weeks, especially as we get closer to CSW's Rise of an Outlaw. But I will say that I was a humongous American Wolves fan.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Eddie Edwards were probably one of the best fucking tag teams on the independent circuit for 5-6 years. There was a recent event. Was it GloryPro? Or where they just recently had a tag team match with
I'm not sure if it was GloryPro or not.
Yeah. And it was an independent wrestling event. And I want to say it was in St. Louis. I just don't know I don't think it was GloryPro though.
Yeah.
Actually it might have been. I think it was the event that Ethan Page showed up at. So maybe it was a Glory, but they had a reunion, a tag team match, and obviously not the American Wolves that they used to be, but I still mark out anytime they show up to do shit. So, but I am a humongous Eddie Kingston fan, and for those that don't know, CR Media has a AEW Post Dynamite show every Wednesday night, about 15 minutes after Dynamite. We go live and we talk about Dynamite, get you, have a conversation with you guys, get you guys involved. Tell me what you like, what you didn't like. You can hear about what I liked and what I didn't like. And on that AEW Post Dynamite show, one of my many rotating co-hosts, my friend Mark, the Pro Wrestling Kingpin, has talked about. Him and I both have talked about that it is gearing up towards hopefully Eddie Kingston being AEW champion sometime by the end of this year. Would love to fucking see that. So fantastic match that those two put on.
Yep. So your boys, we already talked about them. The Quad Father and Kenny Alfonso and Camaro Jackson team up to defeat Jordan Oliver and Myron Reed. Every single time Kenny Alfonso gets in the ring, it's a clinic, and I really hope that eventually, sometime down the road, and I know it's going to happen at some point, I want him to be on this show. I want to talk to him. I'm extremely excited. Each time he comes in the ring. So if I can get to see him in person, which I have not seen him in person yet, everything has been on a screen. So I'm hoping to see him live very soon. But which possibly could come up in late June. WLW is making the trip to Kansas City for their Shut Up and Wrestle tour. And Kansas City is their first stop. Kansas City Convention Center. Kansas City North Convention Center. So that's coming up. I'm not sure the exact date, but it is late June. So
you think the I-70 hot tag is going to make an appearance at that show?
I think so, man. I really do. I think that's going to. I mean, it's not too often we're going to be able to go, 20 minutes away from our house and go to a Harley race event. So I think that's one we probably can't miss unless we're going to drive all the way to Troy, which we will at some point.
But I did want to, since you brought up Kenny Alfonso, I think we were saying our goodbyes to Michael Strider and Brian. I have no idea how to say Brian's name.
I wouldn't even try it.
Brian, I'm not going to. But I don't think Brian is watching anymore. But he brought up a Vic Capri versus Kenny Alfonso. I think he was kind of asking, like if we could see that match.
Yeah.
And I would like to see that match. So, like I said, when we skimmed over Kenny's name there for a second, I wanted to bring that up. So
yeah, appreciate you, Brian, for jumping in and listening. I mean, you looks like you were watching from YouTube, so he was watching from the YouTube stream.
I like that.
So,
Get my YouTube numbers up.
there you go,
Especially since those fuckers took my video down.
Right.
Last week. Gosh, I'm not going to. We're moving on.
Yeah, not this week.
Not this week.
So this next match, I kind of want to give a little preface. They had a very, it was a funny skit that they had between Dan the Dad and Cody Lane. And before the match, Dan the Dad was coming home from a vacation or something like that. And he comes to his house, and when he's walking in, the door's locked. The key doesn't work, and out walks Cody Lane. And they have the dad puns and the corny back and forths, and it's something that it was hilarious because it's something that we could just go grab Brody. Hopefully Brody's in here. Get a camera, and we could film something exactly what we just watched on GloryPro.
Yeah.
It was great, and they played it up well, and this match ended up being a ladder match for the deed, the right of the deed for the house, basically, is what it was. So it was going to be Cody Lane versus Dan the Dad. So my first instinct watching this show was how the hell they're going to do a ladder match in a building with extremely low ceilings. But when the ladder was up, it wasn't that low. So I mean, the ladder it wasn't that bad. Unfortunately, whether or not it was planned or not, Cody Lane was injured. So he didn't have the match. It was actually Dan the Dad versus Davey Bang. So Dan the Dad ends up, there was some shenanigans going on. Cody Lane got involved. But in the end, Dan the Dad climbs up the ladder, gets the deed. And by the way, I do want to say how, so the lawyer from Brown and Crouppen, who promotes Dan the Dad the last two GloryPro events, it's been fantastic watching it because it's funny seeing him when Meg, my wife, she watches he has these short skits that he posts on Facebook, and it's all different comedy things. So she knew exactly who he was. So I'm watching both times, and she got super invested in that match and that segment just because she knew who he was. And she doesn't know anybody else on the show, but she saw him and pulled her in. She watched the match, and but I'm a big fan of him being a part of this.
Absolutely. I am too. And I can't say anything that you haven't already said about this match. It was super entertaining. The skits were, absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
The tag team match afterwards, Ethan Page and Jake something defeat Grindhouse. Now, I'm not a fan. I like Ethan Page. I'm a real big Ethan Page fan. From TNA or Impact. Sorry, Old Habits Die Hard. But
So hang on before we go. This is listed incorrectly. I'm sorry. I did the rundown on this one. It's Ethan Price, not Ethan Page. My fault. This is an Ethan Price. We don't want to get him. Ethan Page is listed as a guest on the next GloryPro event in July. So I got those. It's Ethan Price and Jake something.
You got me over here about to fucking sell.
My bad.
You got me over here about to sell a fucking Ethan Page and Jake something match like I watched it. And I was super confused because I was like,
yeah, it's Ethan Price. That's my fault.
Okay. And so Ethan Price and Jake something against the Grindhouse Anytime the Grindhouse are up against somebody, I'm gonna go with the Grindhouse 99.9% of the time. I think the only time I'm not going Grindhouse is if they're facing the Howlets. So I was rooting for Grindhouse in this. I especially wanted them to beat Ethan Page's ass, but he didn't show up for that match, so that's all right.
But we got to
So
see, you and I talked about this too, about how weird it is to see the heel and faces. How Ethan Price is a huge heel in CSW, and he comes out as a face in GloryPro with Jake something. So, it's just I like that aspect just because we get to see the dynamic of each wrestler, and we don't have to just stick with one 3-year-long heel run, because we get to see him in different promotions, get to see him in different alignments. So, and it's funny because I tweeted out on our I-70 hot tag Twitter that Jake something is a massive man, but he's not the best tag team in the Midwest. That title belongs to Grindhouse. That got Jake something to reply, and you can go back and look. There's a huge feed on that reply from him and Davey Vega going back and forth about whether or not Davey can lift him up for a power bomb, because Davey was set up for a power bomb, but they flipped him over. So Davey says he can lift him up. Jake something doesn't believe he can. So
I think Davey can. My money's on Davey.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
1,000%.
So how about this Crown of Glory main event?
Yeah. Got to see Warhorse. Warhorse was on a European tour. So he's getting, he was on a European tour. He has been getting back into the thick of it. So back into his regularly, roaming around and ruling ass. Which I thought was going to happen. I was extremely shocked when Mike Outlaw won. However, I was more shocked when Team Ambition came out to help Warhorse at the end, and then 2D Lynn super kicked Mike Outlaw. That was a shocker at the end. So they've had some, between Anarchy and GloryPro, they've had some shocking endings.
Yeah.
Anarchy had Grindhouse turning on Gary J, and then GloryPro had 2D Lynn turning on Mike Outlaw. So
yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if necessarily if 2D. I don't know if it was a turn or what it was, because they shared a moment in earlier in the night where they kind of seemed like they were going to team up, and then when 2D came out, she had the Team Ambition jacket on. We thought it was going to happen. It was maybe a fake turn, maybe not, but then super kick, she stayed on Team Ambition and defeated Warhorse. So Mike Outlaw retains the Crown of Glory Championship, and Team Ambition is still together. We're gonna see, I guess, the next I would assume they're gonna run a show in June. I have not seen. I know that we talked about Ethan Page. Ethan Page is gonna be at the July show, but we're gonna see if GloryPro uses the Michael Strider booking philosophy, and see if Mike Outlaw starts off the next event, and Team Ambition. So we'll see how that works out. But phenomenal overall, I'm going to say. I didn't really see much wrong with this event. I mean, I love the fact we can watch it on YouTube, and all these promotions who live stream on Twitch or YouTube. It's great for our sake, not being able to just up and go 4 hours to St. Louis to watch a show. Yeah. And we can still cover them, and we can still promote them, because that's what we do. We're promoting independent wrestling, Kansas City and Missouri, along the I-70 corridor. So
That is that is the name of the game, my friend.
Yes, sir.
So, God, tomorrow night, JourneyPro, Headlocks for the Cure. This is a fantastic event. Just for the absolute meaning behind the event, what is entailing, and what JourneyPro has elected to do for it. I cannot speak enough about this. Josh, let everybody know what JourneyPro Headlocks for the Cure is about.
So this event is all proceeds, 100% is going to go to benefit the Head for the Cure Foundation, which is going to help them go gray for Brain Cancer Awareness Month. So, I mean, all proceeds. They're not making any money off this. They're putting everything to this benefit, this foundation. So, very excited for that, and I think it's a great move for Journey to do something like that. Yeah, can't say enough good things about what Journey's doing. And from the look at this card, you guys are not going to be disappointed. You guys spend your money, donate to a good cause, everything's going to it, and go see some good professional wrestling.
Yeah. So this event is BYOC, which is bring your own chairs. There aren't enough chairs for everyone at the venue, so we are encouraging fans who don't have front row tickets to bring their own chairs to the event to have a comfy place to sit. Give me 1 second here, because I wanted to. Of course, if you've missed the show, if you're not with us live, you know that the shows will be reposted on YouTube for watching. They will also be on my Twitch for rewatching. And if you are able to rewatch and you see this, headforthecure.org is the foundation that JourneyPro Wrestling will be sponsoring. So very, very, very excited for that.
Yep.
Kind of hard for me to bring a chair on a plane.
You could. You can bring a chair on a plane.
Yeah, you can bring. Yeah, if you can bring in this is. I don't know about the land down under, Scotty, but here in America, you can fly with all types of different things, all types of different service animals and all kinds of weird shit. So
just bring it as a carry on. Let it sit on your lap. You know.
Yeah. But JourneyPro cannot say enough fantastic things about them and what they're doing. That just it blows my mind. If you have kids and you think of something like that, then yeah, absolutely. So, Josh, now that we're at the end. we gotta rethink the way to do this, man. Because if you'd asked me 3 hours ago, I'd have told you it was a great idea. But now that we're at the closing end, not a whole lot of motherfuckers were like, yeah, we're gonna wait 2.5 hours to find out how to win these tickets.
Yeah, we kind of lost some viewers there, but hey, we're good. Let me but let's do you want to roll down this card for Journey before we get to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we'll go quick, guys. I know it's like I said, it is almost 2.5 hours live here. So real quick, wanted to promote this is happening tomorrow night. You can catch their show on Twitch at twitch.tv/Journey 2 Anarchy. So they will be live, I believe, at 7 p.m. It might be 6 Central Time. Just kind of check your Twitch. You can hit the little bell notification. It'll let you know when they go live. Go follow them. They go live for JourneyPro and St. Louis Anarchy. So, card. We've got Jeremy Wyatt and Luke Langley, which are now being called The Reckoning. They joined forces at the last JourneyPro event. They're taking on Thumbs and Buns, a team that I thought were not going to be together anymore, but
They're trying to work through it. They're trying to work through it. Here's what I'm hoping, and this will be my one prediction, my one bold prediction of the night. I feel like we can't do a live stream without me doing a bold prediction, a Chase hot take, if you will. I have a feeling that Micah is going to get left by himself, and there might be a certain tag team that shows up to help our friend Mighty Micah out.
You think?
I don't know.
How many days
I've tried pulling strings I've tried pulling strings for Micah, and the Howlets weren't having it.
Yeah.
I mean, they were taking pictures with kids and grandmas and shit, and I was like, hey, what do we got to do to? And they were like, nope, not gonna happen.
Micah Howlett.
Micah
It
Howlett.
has a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
It has a fantastic ring to it.
So yeah, that match should be great. Anything Jeremy Wyatt's involved in, I'm really liking what Luke Langley's done over the last couple months. So, and we all know Jay Fowler and Micah are great. So it's going to be a good. I don't know if it's going to be an opening match or not, but it's what we have listed first. So, your boys, the P boys, the Premier.
The P boys.
I didn't say that. Chase did. Against Lady Luck and GPA. I didn't really get to talk much earlier about Lady Luck. I'm telling you what, she had a phenomenal match in GloryPro, and she, I think that she's going to have another great match here. Really excited to see her here in Kansas City again. So, Lady Luck, hopefully I'm going to probably end up reaching out to her in a couple weeks. Hopefully she can be our first woman guest on the I-70 hot tag.
I don't hate it. Special shout out, my friend Jess Gray from Twitch coming through. Jess, I appreciate it. That means a lot. Appreciate you taking the time.
So next match, we've got Gary J against a mystery opponent. So I don't believe that mystery opponent has been announced, and I'm not sure it's going to be. It's probably going to be just whoever shows up. Is there anybody, I'm putting you on the spot, anybody in mind that you think could be that mystery opponent?
Son of a bitch. It was supposed to be my only Chase hot take of the night.
Oh, well, I'm giving you a second shot because you know that the Micah Howlett's probably not going to happen.
I didn't say Micah Howlett was going to happen. I just said, if Thumbs and Buns splits up, if the cheeks get spread apart, and our good friend Mighty Micah, gets left alone, I have a feeling that there is two badass mofos that could possibly come to his aid.
Right.
But they are wrestling that night, so. But that doesn't mean anything.
That does not mean.
That doesn't mean anything.
So, that does not mean anything.
I think that our guys, the Howlets, would love an opportunity to fucking beat up on Jeremy Wyatt, and why not? Anybody would love an opportunity to beat up on Jeremy Wyatt. So
100%.
finally caught you live, so stopping in, checking y'all out. Appreciate it, Jess. Thank you so much. Raz, I appreciate you showing love to our viewers as well. Do I have a prediction? For a mystery opponent for
Gary J.
For Gary fucking J.
Like I said, put you on the spot.
You know what? Hey, you know what? Let's do this. I don't see I don't see a certain tag team on here. So I could see possibly one of those guys, possibly Davey Vega or Matt Fitchett, coming in to fight Gary J.
I would not hate that.
That is my prediction.
Love it.
So
love it. We also I'm taking a look at this card. I do not believe we have a certain Mile High Magnum on the card either. So
it's a possibility.
We could see
that would be a weird match. That would be quite the weird matchup to have Dak Draper and
Gary J.
And Gary fucking J. So
it'd be interesting. So yeah, I mean, it could be anybody. It probably not either one of them, but we'll see who it is tomorrow night. But they I don't know what this match is. I don't know if it's a battle royal or what it is, but it is called. They're calling it the Tasty Mix Razzle Dazzle, presented by Guys Snacks.
Well, I'll tell you what. My guys, the Howlets, are probably not the biggest fans of this match. So
didn't they punt the Guys Snacks on the last JourneyPro event?
The guys chips all over JourneyPro last time? I loved it. It's gonna be Josh. Josh, are you the mystery opponent for Gary fucking J?
I can't confirm or deny. Cannot confirm or deny.
If you got booked for a wrestling match before I did, after all the fuckers I've called out on this podcast, I would be quite upset. So
it's going to be a tag. I mean, we are the hot tag, so we're going to go in as a tag team. It's not going to be a singles match. So
I'll be your manager. I'll be your manager.
That'll work.
Because I'm not fighting Gary J.
Sean Sugar Daddy Dawkins.
Yeah, I'm not fighting Gary J. You can fight Gary J.
No. After what I saw him do at Anarchy last month against CCW.
I'd rather take my chances against Moonshine than fight Gary J.
Right.
So
100%. All right, guys. Just quickly, we're gonna roll down through this. The Howlets are taking on Dallas Cade and Sam Beal. That's gonna be a fun match. Love Dallas. Love the Howlets.
Absolutely. Shout out to Dallas Cade, friend of the I-70 hot tag.
Yes, sir. Dallas Cade, first guest on our show. So we got Moonshine Mantell taking on Kenny Alfonso. That's kind of culminating from last month's show.
Absolutely.
So, should be fun. And then the Journey Championship match. Christian Rose's the title defense is taking on a wrestler called Frontman Ja. I'm not familiar with him. I'm not sure if he's wrestled in the Kansas City area before, but should be fun. I mean, he's got to be have some high praise to be Christian Rose's first title defense. So I should be a good match. If Journey has enough confidence in him to be the first challenger, I think it's going to be a hell of a show.
So, I definitely agree. Again, guys. All the proceeds, everything involving this event, will go to a charity. It's called Headlocks for the Cure. It's going to be for Head for the Cure Foundation, which focuses on brain cancer. This is a phenomenal event that JourneyPro is putting on. Obviously, got a lot of people in here that are not from the Kansas City, Missouri area. or in Missouri, much less. I know Jess is not from Missouri. I know Scotty is definitely not even from America. So if you would like to watch this event and watch some of these independent professional wrestlers that we have talked about on this show, go to twitch.tv/journey, the number 2, anarchy. It will be live tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Like I said, or no, I apologize. That was when the tickets went on sale, was 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. The event will be at 7 o'clock. So 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. So apologize about that.
All right. We are at that point, guys. We're going to AEW Dynamite tickets. We have 3 tickets to give away. It is happening on, June 8th is the event. We've got 3 tickets to give away, and this is how you're going to win. So we have our social media accounts, and what's going to happen is sometime in the next 24 hours, before the end of the day Friday, our social media account on Facebook, and that's that and Twitch are our 2 primary streaming accounts where we share the streams. What we're going to do is we're going to post a question, a wrestling question, and it's going to be extremely simple. It's not going to be something it's going to have to go Google or search. It's going to be an easy question. You're going to answer the question, so you're going to make a comment on that post. Answer has to be correct, but again, you're not going to get it wrong. It's going to be as easy as who is the wrestler that was named Hulkamania. It's going to be that easy. Answer that question. Then you're going to make sure you like the Facebook page. So if you put the thumbs up, like it, and share that same post. So like, share, answer the question, comment, basically. So that's your 4, I guess. Did I say 4? Ways to enter. And what's going to happen, guys, is we're going to announce the winner on next week's show. So that'll give us 1 full week to have you guys enter to win, comment, share it out, and we'll announce it on the show next week. So sometime 24 hours, probably on Friday morning or afternoon, answer the question, like our page, share the content, and that gets you an entry into getting the tickets. And it's through Ticketmaster, so you guys are gonna. It is through Ticketmaster, right, Chase? You have the tickets, I believe. So it's through Ticketmaster. We'll just transfer it to your account, Ticketmaster account, and that's it, because nobody has paper tickets anymore. So
yeah, yep. And whoever wins is obligated to meet up with Josh and I prior to the event.
Absolutely.
Just for a handshake. Maybe I'll buy you a beer. Maybe you'll buy me a beer. Maybe we'll buy each other beers. Doesn't matter to me. I will have a beer in my hand. So, yeah. So definitely obligation. Whoever wins the tickets to AEW Dynamite has to meet up with us at some point just to say what's up, or give Josh a big hug or kick me in the nuts. So depending on
I would say let's do both. But no, guys, the 3 tickets are all together. They're not with. We are going to be in attendance as well. It's not next to us, so we're not going to be sitting right next to you guys. You'll have 3 tickets to yourself. They are very good seats. They are on the hard cam side. There's a good chance if they've got kind of an angle at the ring, might be on TV. Not sure exactly off the top of my head what row it is, but it is a very good seat, pretty close to the ring. So it's a big opportunity for everybody. So we're excited to do this for you.
Yeah, I apologize. I wish I would have been more prepared. I would have, like not screenshotted, but shared the screen and brought the tickets on the screen or whatever. But we will have that for next week. Definitely stay tuned to all the social medias. We will be promoting it like crazy. We are definitely looking forward to giving these away. We can't use them, so we want them to go to somebody that you know that we feel deserves it. So,
yep, yes, sir. All right, so
boy, 2 hours and 35 minutes, man.
Yep.
We are right there towards the end, guys. We got about 5 minutes here left. Wanna just give you an idea of future independent shows that are in the area, in the Kansas City or Kansas and Missouri area. Tomorrow night, like we talked about, JourneyPro Headlocks for the Cure. Proceeds will benefit the Head for the Cure Foundation to help Go Gray for Brain Cancer Awareness Month. And then May 28th, we've got Warrior Wrestling 22 in St. Louis, Missouri. They're going to have a phenomenal match with Will Ospreay and Davey Richards. Is Will Ospreay's? Is he going to be on that event still?
I don't believe so. Well, he was originally announced for it, but he has a some sort of infection, and I don't believe he's going to be wrestling that event. So that sucks, but I'm sure they're going to find somebody else to fill in. It's Davey Richards. He can have a good match with anybody. So
absolutely. May 28th, we're also looking at Cape Championship Wrestling presents May Mayhem in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Marco Stunt will be in action there. If you have not seen Marco Stunt live, definitely recommend doing so. He is super entertaining, but sit really close to the ring because if not, you might not be able to see him. Just shooting straight with you guys. On June 4th, we've got XWE presents Summer Heat in Salina, Kansas. All right, cool.
Absolutely.
had to make sure my my translator over there it was acceptable for him. So. In association with the Kansas Wrestling Alliance, former WWE superstar Eugene, also known as Nick Dinsmore, will be in action there.
I want to say too before we get to the next. Sorry, this is I did look up Dinsmore Eugene's social media account. This is his retirement tour. So if you guys are in the area, this is probably the last time you're going to see him wrestle. So he's done after this tour. So
fantastic, good for him. And then June 4th, June 17th and 18th, St. Louis Anarchy presents the Dingo Invitational Tournament. That's a 2-night event. Very excited to see that one. And then, like we talked about earlier, June 18th, CSW presents Rise of an Outlaw, with the main event being a no time limit match between Jeremy Wyatt and Mike Outlaw. It is time for Jeremy Wyatt to let go of the stranglehold he has on fucking Kansas City. It is time for Mike Outlaw to take his place at the top. Get out, Jeremy. We're sick of seeing you. So.
It's I couldn't agree more. Love Jeremy Wyatt, but if when let's just say when Mike Outlaw takes that title from Wyatt, we're gonna have a new sheriff in town in Missouri professional wrestling, because not only will Mike Outlaw be the CSW champion, he is also the Crown of Glory champion as well. So he's going to be running roughshod through Missouri. So
that's all right. That's all right. Like I said, Jeremy Wyatt's had it long enough. But before Jeremy Wyatt, calls it quits, Jeremy Wyatt has to make a stop at the I-70 hot tag just for one time.
100%. I mean, we got to get Wyatt on this show for sure. So
absolutely. Future podcast shows, guys. This is super fucking exciting. I didn't think it could get much better than tonight. This one will hold a very special place in my heart, having Michael Strider on. But we have so much more planned out. On June 2nd, we've got Kansas City KCXW Metro champion Ryan the Infinite. I met Ryan the Infinite for the first time at CSW Strapped. He had a tag team match with our good friend
Dallas Cade.
Dallas Cade, and super nice guy. Josh, you met him as well when you chatted with him to ask him if he wanted to come on the show.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Yeah, great. It was a great surprise. Didn't know he was there, and extremely excited to talk to him. He'll be on next week, so we'll start promoting that in the next 24, 48 hours as well. So, should be a fun show.
Absolutely. And then the following week on June 9th, we have the Besta Pizza Maker, Luigi Primo, coming on. I can't tell you how fucking excited I am for that.
Yeah.
If you've been here for the whole show and you heard us talking to Michael Strider about what's going on in CSW, DWF, etc. Luigi Primo has been received very, very well in Kansas City. And I'm super excited to have him on. So, yeah. And then on June 16th, we have an interview with Brian Sheck. He is the ring crew for CSW and Journey. He's training to be a referee. We will also preview the St. Louis Anarchy Dingo Invitational with him on there. And then June 23rd, I'm super excited about this one. Strider actually mentioned him. I was gonna jump in and mention it, but I could listen to Strider tell wrestling stories all day. WLW veteran and former WWF superstar Derek Stone is going to be on the show. Derek Stone wrestled the likes of who in WWF, Josh?
He wrestled Doink the Clown. He wrestled Triple H when he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He has wrestled Jake the Snake Roberts. He had a tag team match against the Nation of Domination. So, we're going to be sitting talking to somebody who was working for Vince McMahon. How cool is that? Michael Strider was great, and I think that's going to be a top interview for us. But to have someone we're talking to that wrestled Triple H or Jake Roberts, it's going to be fun. And the fact that he's a mainstay veteran for WLW Harley Races promotion, been there for many, many years, probably longer. I talked a lot last week about Superstar Steve. Derek Stone's been there as long, if not longer, than Superstar Steve. So super excited. He was very engaged when we spoke with him. So he's looking forward to coming on as well. So should be a fun show. Jam packed. What is that? 4 weeks in a row now. 6, I guess, if you can include the last 2 weeks of guests coming on the show. So
yeah, Dallas Cade, Greg Jovi, Michael Strider tonight, and then we've got 4 weeks of people planned out. So, eventually, starting next week, we're gonna have a segment in the show that gives out where people can reach us to book on the show, because I'd like to just flow it every week. So maybe keep it a little under 2 hours and 45 minutes, my guy. But
yeah, man, we never know with these, how long these things are going to go. Could go 30 minutes, could go an hour and a half. You never know. So,
like I said, man, I don't fucking hate it at all. If I had a sixer, and I had it my way, me and Michael Strider I'd still be listening to Michael Strider tell wrestling stories. So
absolutely,
I could listen to that all night.
Absolutely,
guys. If you don't know, you should by now. You should fucking know where to find your boy, CR Media 1988. You're gonna find me on Twitch, Instagram, the Twitter, on Facebook, and the TikTok. And my partner here to my, wherever that is. my good friend Josh, who has been a good friend for a very long time. Appreciate him doing this show with me. You can find him on Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok as well at the real Josh Elliott. Josh also pulls double duty and runs the I-70 hot tag social medias. And you can find the I-70 hot tag on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Great show.
Fantastic show. I cannot thank all of you enough. Scott, you have a fantastic night, my friend. God, dude, I can't put you over enough. Come chat Dynamite with me on Wednesday nights on the AEW Dynamite post show. And then, for wrestling, come in here and help us support wrestling promotions that are halfway across the world from you. Cannot thank you enough. Jess, if you're still here, I greatly appreciate you chiming in. Greatly appreciate you coming through. Like I said, I miss hanging out with my Sledgehead crew, my Heel Kevin Army crew. My work schedule has been crazy to where I have not been able to do it as much. So definitely miss hanging out with you guys. And like I said, anybody else who came out tonight, greatly appreciate you. I don't have anything left, my friend. All right. So then for your boy, CR Media, this is my co-host, the real Josh Elliott. Good fight and good